Alright guys, welcome to tonight's live. We're on YouTube, Instagram and Facebook. Basically, yeah, if there's any of you guys who are new to us, before we get into what we're going to talk about tonight, just a quick bit of homework. If you're new to us and you don't know who we are, I was a charter boat operator for over 30 years, full time, learned a lot in that time. Also spent a bit of time commercially and commercial diving for aquarium fish and things. So I've been above the water and below the water for most of my life. So I have learned a few things, and we put them into online courses, which we've been going for 12 odd years now. We have a variety of different courses. We have a number of free presentations as well. So I'm going to read out some of those just quickly shortly, because we get a lot of people who ask us, questions and stuff, and so we just send them some of the free training, and it helps out a lot of people. Or you can, join us in our courses where the really in-depth and good stuff is. But a lot of people get a lot out of these free presentations as well. I'd like to hear where you guys are from, and also this week, have you been out fishing? What did you catch? Us up here in the far north, we're a little bit susceptible to the trade winds up here, and we've had a bit of an early spurt this year. We've had a lot of rough weather lately, and some of the lulls in the weather have been during the week, unfortunately, and it's about to blow up tomorrow in time for the weekend again. So it seems like a common scenario for you guys wanting to get offshore, especially up here. It might be a little bit different down southeast Queensland, New South Wales, where you're closer to the centre of the high pressure systems, but up here we do get the outside of the high pressure systems, which is where all the wind is. So it's just a bit unfortunate that a lot of us haven't got out up here, but I'm keen to hear what you caught this week anyway. I managed to get out the other day, took my young fella out in his boat. Well, actually I should say he took me out, because I moved to Cairns 5 years ago, but we use this as a base more than anything, and I haven't really done much fishing around here inshore, so decided to go and have a look at a lot of the rivers here, and I was surprised by the amount of salmon schools in the rivers here. They're both blue and threadfin. It was insane. We had a quick fish. We were mostly just looking around. My young fella dropped a really nice barra, and it had a white tail, a pure white tail, and I've seen a couple of those up near Corumba, but I've never seen them on the east coast here, and it was the first barramundi I've ever seen with a pure, white tail. It was, very interesting, but he dropped it next to the boat, so we couldn't get a picture. We've got a bit of it on video escaping, but that's about it. So guys, like I said, I'd like to hear where you're from, and if you managed to get out this week and catch a few fish, because there probably wouldn't be too many reports from up north here, unfortunately. Now, just before we head on, before we get into talking a little bit about seasonal changes, we've done this last Thursday as well, but it was mostly about barra, fingermark, and some of the other species, that demersal species that come inshore, the pink snapper, especially down southern Queensland and New South Wales, with the school snapper coming in closer, the school size ones, and same with the fingermark and the barra up here. They just aggregate in bigger numbers in lesser areas. So before we get on to talking about Spaniards and other things that come into the coastline up here, I just wanted to quickly run through this, because a lot of people do, like I said, with these free workshops and cheat sheets that we've got, people are really wrapped with them, even though I find it might be a little bit basic, but that's me. But a lot of people do get a lot of stuff out of this. Right, if you like our Barra Strategies workshop, just got a comment tonight, Barra 101, all one word, and we'll send it out to you. Our Sounder Skills big picture presentation, just comment free, and that'll get sent out to you. Our gear and tackle cheat sheet for both inshore and offshore, comment Moody Gear, all one word. Our Fingermark Strategies workshop, Fingermark Vid, all one word. And our live bait cheat sheet, just comment bait. Wonky Holes presentation replay from one we done a long time ago. We are going to upgrade some of these actually. I've got 2 of them prepped already, which I'm working on. So the Wonky Holes presentation, find Wonky, all one word. Threadfin sounder cheat sheet, showing you screenshots of what threadfin look like. Just comment find threadfin, all one word. We have a sounder masterclass that you can win with me each year. If you just comment Fishmas, Fishmas, all one word, we draw that at Christmas time each year. So one lucky person gets me out on their boat for half a day, and I set up your sounder and go through whatever fishing problems you have. And so that's the sounder masterclass. We also have some blogs too, a slow pitch jigging guide, just comment jig, stick bait lures explain, stick lure, barratastics for rough weather, Barra Rough, BARRA-ROUGH, all one word of course, and the 6 mistakes using live bait, just comment liveys, and how to hook your live bait, hook up. And we also have just done one recently on the Nanny Guy stock assessment, just comment nanny stock, and of course we've done some on fuel consumption tips, so just fuel tips for that one. Some of you might find that a little bit interesting and help you plan your days a little bit better. So they're just a few presentations. If you've forgotten what I said, just in the comments, just ask for it, and we'll just replay.
Yeah, there's a replay of this whole thing, so you can just go through.
Yeah, like I say, just watch the replay as well.
Get the codes to all the free stuff.
Yeah, and also tonight is the last night till midnight of our May Madness sale. $200 off each course, and we also have a special offer. Maybe I'll announce that a little bit later for anyone who buys a course tonight. So shall I do that now or later? I'll do it a little bit later. All right. Okay. Now let's get started. Now we did speak about.
Yeah. So just I've got a few comments.
Sorry. Oh yeah. If you've got any questions, sorry, I can help. Hopefully, I can help you out with some questions that might help. I mean, if it's very advanced stuff, which takes forever to explain, I don't really do those kind of questions because that's in our courses, and other people have paid a lot of money to get access to that information. But there's still a lot of stuff I can help people with. So just put your question in there, and if it's one I can help with, I'll certainly get onto it. So just type your questions in the chat.
Yeah, so we've got Chris from Lucinda who caught 2 barra in the 60s on the same bank.
Nice.
Sunny Coast went out a few days ago, big swells and wind, didn't even get a bait down.
Well, that's on the sunny coast. Well, they've obviously had a little bit of rough weather down there too, but they generally see a little bit better weather than we have up here this time of year. But that's no good. Sorry.
Yeah. And someone on YouTube said he's from Townsville. He got my first barra mangrove jack last week. Thanks to you, YouTube and free content. Really appreciate it. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. Barra 101, Barra Strategies Workshop. It'll just basically explains how I went about working them out over the years. So if you follow that, it'll. If you don't want to buy a barra course and you just want to work out how I did it, then it'll take you a bit of time. But I kind of explain it all in that presentation in that workshop. So, a couple of guys catching some barra, which is good because we're in the interchange period at the moment as the water temperatures are dropping. That's the time of year where barras are adjusting, and they're a type of fish that really likes stability. So while you got dropping water temperatures and things like that, and sudden changes in water temperature, like with cold snaps overnight and things like that, especially in the shallows, it'll send them into deeper areas, and sometimes they'll just sulk for a week or two or more even. So this is the kind of period of the year where the barras are generally a little bit harder to catch. But once they get used to the cold, they will start moving into more predictable situations and start biting a little bit more freely. Okay.
Jack said he managed to creep out of Port Douglas on Monday, got a mixed bag around Low Isle.
Nice.
And, got another comment. Mr. Moody is allegedly in Townsville.
Thanks,
the story goes the fishery followed him around in green zones, his spot closer to shore around Townsville, all his good wonky holes. Wow.
Yeah, I did lose a lot of my fishing grounds down there when the green zones came in.
Oh, that's
But anyway, that's years ago, and in the past when I was doing charters down there. So, a lot of the wonkies down there in certain places of Townsville all caved in when Cyclone Yasi came through in 2011. I've been back down there about 6 years ago, went out and had a look. Some of them have reopened, but a lot still haven't. So that's one little area where they've been a little bit affected, and they may take a little bit longer before they start to expose properly again. But still plenty of wonky holes up and down the coast. North of Townsville, up around the Palm Islands, there's plenty. That was a bit protected up there from the cyclone. It's just that area in the paddock directly sort of off Townsville down to the Burdekin area that really copped it. Okay, we'll get to questions as the thing goes on, but tonight we are going to talk a little bit about the Spaniards. They're a fish that changes their habits in winter as well. Now, we do get our migratory Spaniards. They're the ones that come down from the Torres Strait as juveniles, and as they move down the coast with the bait, because there's certain bait that migrates as well, like yakkers and herring, they follow the bait, they feed up, and on their way down, they actually get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. They actually grow pretty fast in that first year. Generally, by the time they get to Townsville area, around Cairns, Townsville, sort of around that mid-May, June, July, they usually up around that 6 to 8 kilos. But these are big schools of mackerel, and they're out in the shipping lane, sort of halfway between the mainland and the reef, and they're mostly feeding on all sorts of bait fish. So by the time they get here, they're 6 to 8 kilos. So by the time they reach, Brisbane in sort of November, December, they're generally larger fish, up around 13, 14, 15 kilos. Some fish you'll find will branch off and sort of stay and start become a little bit resident to a region if they find a comfort zone. So as that migratory schools move down the coast, they kind of do spread out and get a little bit smaller as they're heading down the coast. But what we do see around about now is a lot of very large Spaniards, 2-3-year-old fish. They grow very quick, Spaniards, and they're anywhere from 15 to 20 kilos. And of course, bigger if they're 3 or 4 years old, bigger again. And they come into the inshore areas. They're not with these migratory schools, they're totally separate. They become resident to regions out here, like I said. They will come into areas around headlands and different pressure points, especially where bait aggregates. Even in the Hinchinbrook Channel, up there, you'll find all the herring schools coming in there, and it's not uncommon to find them in a clean water estuary as well. And we see them spearing out of the water there on the northern end of Hinchinbrook, 20 kilo fish spearing out of the water, and that'll start pretty much now, I would say. Right now through till around about usually September, we see them doing that. So there's also a chance of catching some really good Spaniards. Just be careful if they are really big fish. You don't want to get Cigatira. I'd concentrate on maybe the 15 kilo ones. If you do get a monster, well, just make sure that you eat it in small portions. Don't have a massive meal night after night after night, because that will accumulate if they do have any cigatoxin in them, that will accumulate in your bloodstream, and you do not want that reaching the trigger level where it triggers a Cigatira reaction. I've had it. How old's my daughter? 33. So I had it 29 years ago, and it nearly killed me. I spent 2 weeks paralysed and 9-10 weeks in bed trying to recover from the muscle contractions and what it does to your nervous system. So it has killed the odd person, and over in Fiji and places like that, they actually, apparently I don't say don't go and do this yourself, especially if you've got a family pet, but over there they feed them to cats. That's why all the families have so many cats. They feed them to cats, and if the cat gets sick and can't walk properly, and some of them even die, unfortunately, then they obviously know that fish has a good dose of Cigatira, because it is pretty rampant over there. And for those of you who don't know, Cigatira is when you get areas of coral that die off, and that happens, that's natural. Blue-green algae grows on it, and fish like damselfish, banana fish, all those shallow water fish out on the reefs, what happens is they feed on that algae, and that creates the cigatoxin in them. It doesn't kill them. And then when bigger fish eat them, it gets transferred into their bodies, and of course it doesn't kill those fish either or harm those fish in any way. But when a human eats the fish that's infected with ciguatera, and it accumulates in your bloodstream over a number of years till it finally triggers off. It triggers a reaction that affects your nervous and neurologic system. And varying degrees, some people are over it in a few days or a week, other people are down with a couple of months or more. And if anyone's had it, please, just give us a little brief description of what happened to you and how long you had it for. That'd be very interesting, actually. I like hearing other stories, especially when it's affected me really bad. And because at that time I was working on the marlin boats, and I had a lot of we were eating mackerel and trout. Trout's another one. Shallow water, bigger trout in shallow waters is caught up around the reef structures. Are generally another one that suffers from this, because the blue-green algae only grows where the sunlight can penetrate, or in the shallows, and of course it's the shallow water reef fish and the shallow water predators that eat them. There's a number of fish, flowery cod, quite a few species out there will get it to varying degrees. I actually poisoned a couple of detectives that used to live next door to Mum and Dad with a flowery cod years ago. Yeah, bad boy. But anyway, so that's what's going to happen. We're going to start seeing these bigger mackerel come inshore away from the migratory schools, and they will be you'll be able to catch them out around the headlands and any areas of pressure points or bait aggregating eddies and things like that, just off the coastlines and islands. So that is one thing that's going to change very shortly. I would imagine they'll be starting to show up now. Another thing that's going to start to show up now is things like golden trevally. They will come into the deeper pockets on headlands and around islands. Of course, wherever you have maybe even a spit that runs off an island, out off the end of those spits, you'll find, and also queenfish will do it, and GTs will even come in and aggregate as well. So wintertime seems to be a time of year when a lot of fish will move inshore, aggregate in numbers on certain points. Of course, it's a little bit different for barra and fingermark. They do different things, but they're still aggregating in numbers and not in so many areas. So when you find them, it takes longer to find them, but you are rewarded by finding some really good schools. And that applies with the mackerel, the golden trevallies, queenies, and even GTs as well. So they're the main ones, of course, and we also see the diamond trevally. That's another really interesting type of trevally that we mostly see inshore during the cooler months. They fight like crazy, my God, don't they go? And all of these fish, it's all good jigging opportunities more than anything. So big metal slices for the mackerel. You don't have to necessarily troll using wog heads with gar behind them. You can do that. That's a traditional older way of doing it. But these days, a lot of us are now, and the commercial guys still use that method, of course. But recreationally, we've kind of branched off, and we're using slices for a lot of those fish. And of course, the other species like your goldens and queenies and all that sort of thing, we use vibes or sinking stick baits in the holes as well, or even plastics. They respond well to plastics as well, with heavier jig heads. So that's what happens during the winter period. We do get a lot of changes in what many species are doing. So, want to catch up on any questions, Stephen?
Just regarding, just to stick to the topic, I jump over a few, but to the ciguatera poisoning, why is it just certain species are more prone to ciguatera? Surely most predators eat those little fish.
Only shallow water. It's only occurs in the shallows. That's why Nanny Guy, they say Chinaman fish have it, and that's why they were protected. Okay, red bass, they're a shallow water reef fish. They do have it, and they're protected because of it. But Chinaman fish, I think, were used as a scapegoat for what mackerel and coral trout were doing many, many years ago, and they just got the bad rap because at a barbecue there'd be a whole heap of people there, and the next day there'd be a bunch of them sick. And, it can't be coral trout. It can't be Spanish mackerel. Well, it's got to be that dirty old Chinaman. That's how they got their reputation. A mate of mine who's now passed away, a long-term charter operator in Townsville, he was good friends with the guy who ran a hostel there, and he used to bring back all these Chinaman fish that his clients didn't want many years ago, and they put over 200 or something fish through the hostel, and not one person got ciguatera. So there's a lot of fallacies built over time and that's one of them, because deep water reef fish that are out in that paddock have got a much less chance of catching it. So you know, that's what it's all about. It's shallow water. That's where it happens. That's where the shallow water bait fish are, and any fish that visits the shallower waters that feed consistently. Some reefs are also worse than others, and some regions, Harvey Bay is a really bad region. So wherever the blue-green algae is susceptible to growing on coral for varying reasons, is those areas that you want to steer clear of. As far as the reefs up here go, trunk reef, any mackerel, resident mackerel caught at trunk reef, the larger ones, you know, anything over 12 kilos or so there, I would be a little bit wary of, if they're especially outside the migratory run period. Any of those fish, for some reason, a lot of trunk reef mackerel seem to get a fair bit of ciguatera. That's just what I've noticed and heard over time from a lot of people saying they've caught it. And one thing comes in common is they caught it near bramble or trunk reef. So that's why deep reef fish, or fish that commonly stay at deeper depths, don't actually get it. Gold spot cod, some of the cod species that are around reefs will get it. Some of your black spots, your flowery is notorious for it. But your gold spot cod doesn't really go and hang around reefs that much. They're more on wonky holes and all these bits and pieces in the paddock. So gold spot cod is a fish that I've never heard anybody getting ciguatera from, and I've eaten quite a few of them over the years too, and I've never had any experiences with it. So yeah, it all comes down to where it's happening, what the bait fish, what predators are up in the shallows and feeding on those bait fish. Barracuda are also known to get it as well, because they're a shallow water feeder too. You'll find them deep, but you'll also find them shallow as well. Righto, well, we've got any more questions there, mate?
I just stick to the topic for now. It's just like someone said on YouTube, I hate winter, she blows. I hate Chinamen in Northern Territory. And someone else asked, is it true that Chinamen hang out with nannies?
Yes, they do. Chinamen do hang out with the nanny guy and red emperor out in the deep paddock. That's what I mean. A lot of the juvenile Chinamen can be caught around the reefs, but as soon as they get over that sort of size, they all straight to the deep water. You will get some on the reef flats at times around the Saluna periods. They will rise up and come into the shallows, but the majority of the time they are spending in deeper waters. But that's just my experience, and talking to a lot of fishermen over the years, you kind of put two and two together after a while. So I don't think Chinamen are as bad as people actually think. But yes, red bass, they're definitely one to watch out for, and the paddle-tail, flowery cod in particular, they're the ones that you've really got to watch. I think paddle-tail, they're protected as well. So that's what they did a number of years ago, is protected all those species that are known sufferers. Sorry, what was the question about the Northern Territory? Sorry, mate.
No, just someone said he ate a Chinaman in Northern Territory.
Yeah, well, actually, the Chinamen that are in WA that get caught over there, they're allowed to take them over there, and same thing, no ciguatera at all. Actually, I don't even think any fish over there suffer from ciguatera, because they don't have the giant reef platforms that come up into the shallows. It's something that mostly on the east coast here, around the barrier reef regions, and Harvey Bay as well for some reason. I don't know why it happens in Harvey Bay, but there's obviously some occurrence down there that happens with blue-green algae. So it might not be from coral dying, it could be from something else. I'm not a specialist on it, but that's just the observations. Okay, what else have we got there, mate?
Just from the beginning, someone said another finger mark webinar. Last one was 2021. Probably just that was probably live or something. I'm not sure.
What are they?
Someone just said like when you mentioned the.
Oh yeah, we've had other finger mark. This is a finger mark strategies workshop. Just comment finger mark vid, VID at the end of it, all one word, and we'll send that out to you. We have done other.
It's just a recorded free.
It's just
workshop.
recorded. Yeah, it's not a live or anything like that. We do those in the study groups for our courses. We do webinars in there, but just to the public, these are just just recorded cheat workshops and cheat sheets.
Yeah. Another one on YouTube is with blue salmon and bunny, when the season is finished, where do they go once they leave the creeks and rivers? Do they go north or south?
That's something I've never studied in full. I just think they tend to wander out on the flats from what I've seen. The movements of blue salmon, I think they're pretty similar to threadfin. They don't leave their home area too much. I think it's where do they spend their time? Because I know in winter they'll spend a lot of their time in the creeks and rivers, and during summer we find them more on the flats. On the beach just here out the back, we find people catching them all the time in summer, but the fishermen here now are not catching them. They're catching sharks and stingrays and the odd flathead and things like that. But so now all the salmon are in the creeks, and so they'll wander back out onto the flats. Exactly in your region, I'm not sure, mate. Maybe just got to look out on the flats a little bit more in your region that time of year. So when you stop finding them in the creeks, they might travel up and down the coast a little bit. I'm really not sure. I've never really studied their movements a lot, unlike the threadfin, which I think they do a pretty similar thing.
Someone types finger mark vid, all one word.
Yeah, finger mark vid, all one word.
Yep.
VID on the end, all one word.
And to the finger mark question from earlier, it says I'm talking about the study group webinar.
Study group webinar. If he's a student, it should be in there, mate. It should be in the course. If you can't find it, just if you're a member of the finger mark course, just get onto support@ryanmoodyfishing.com and we'll sort out what the issue is if you can't find it. It should be in there though, that's for sure. We will start doing a few more of them again as we proceed in the coming years, but we just don't do it in every course every month or anything like that. It's just from time to time we have a webinar in there.
Kayla on Instagram asked, just watched Sound Skills 2, great content, and he's also got a question.
Thanks, mate.
If there are two fish in the water column at the same depth, and one is on the side of the cone and one in the center, will they be at the same depth in downscan?
Downscan will work the same, it's just basically the same, except you haven't got a conical beam, you've just got a flat beam, and it depends on where the actual fish does come through in relation to the actual beam. But there is a little bit more in-depth stuff on that, so if you want to chuck that into the Inner Circle study group, we can talk a lot more about that in there. But yes, downscan and 2D will still do the same thing where the fish are marking in relation to the distance from transducer.
Yeah, that's also part of Sound Skills 1 and Sound Skills 2, all those things to get really more. Yeah,
we touch a lot. I'm making changes to Sound Skills 2, and I'm doing some rejinking in there, new screenshots, technology's changed a little bit, a few different explanations, so I'm slowly working on them in the background, so we'll release them and swap them out, but those concept videos out as they happen. So that's just got to wait a little bit longer for those, and we've got some newer diagrams, how we explain things, all that kind of thing. But Sound Skills 2 is an awesome course, and it covers 2D, downscan and side imaging, and it'll set you straight on a lot of stuff, because there's so many illusions out there. So many people drive over a spot and don't realise that there is actually fish there, but their sounder doesn't show it. But there's reasons behind that. There's ways that you can assess a spot to kind of counteract that, and also in relation to the species of fish and in relation to current and strength of current, is they're not always on the spots. So that's what we explain in a lot of our species-based courses, where they go in relation to current, in relation to any particular fishing spot. So, Sound Skills 2 will set you straight. Sound Skills 1's only $20. It's the fundamentals, but so many people get it wrong. We've even had really experienced fishermen go, gee, I've never really thought about that, you know, and how I've been getting it wrong, because you can make big fish look small, and you can make small fish look big. You know, it's scroll speed, boat speed, wind speed, current speed, with the direction of current that you're traveling. There are a whole and many more. Your beam angles for the particular frequency you're using. There are so many different things which adjust the size of fish on your sounder. So that's probably why sometimes you might pull up and you think you're fishing on big fish, but all you catch is tiddlers and you move away in disgust. So there is a lot in it. It's only a $20 course, you know, it's a few cups of coffee. Check it out. Of course, Sounder Skills 2 is the big advanced course, which is much longer, and of course it's more expensive as well. So, sorry mate?
Yeah, but it's on sale now too.
Oh yeah, sorry, yes. All these courses are on sale at the moment, $200 off tonight. Now we might also mention that little deal right now. So if you want to buy a course tonight and you go to the cart in the shop on our site, you in the what's it called, the
Where you can put in the
coupon code. There'll be an area there where you can put in a coupon code. If you put in May 30, all one word, MAY 30, we're going to knock off an extra $30 off the courses as well. We know people are doing it tough at the moment, and we'd like people to jump off the fence and jump into our courses. Helps us, keeps us employed and our staff paid each week as well. So, and of course, it's just going to make your fishing so much more enjoyable. Check out our reviews on our page as well. Don't take our word for it. See what everybody has to say. Okay, any more questions there, mate?
A lot.
That's all right. Let's get into it, because we don't want to be going all night.
Yeah.
We try and keep these things to an hour, although we've gone to 2.5 hours before.
Yeah. Just someone on Insta, C Macmillion, said, how are you going, Ryan? Long time listener, first time replier.
G'day mate, how are you? Thanks for following us.
Björn said, I've caught some 18 kilogram models off Double Island in winter. I'm not sure which topic we were.
There was mackerel.
Probably mackerel.
Spaniards, yeah.
Spaniards?
Yeah.
Yep. Someone said in Corumba at the moment, getting a few on the trawl, bit slow going, any tips? Trolling off Corumba.
Trolling off Corumba for mackerel. Haven't done much mackerel fishing up there. I've mostly been in the creeks. Yeah, usually speed up if you're chasing mackerel. Yeah, that's what I'd be doing. Don't slow down too much. They generally like a little bit more activity, that's for sure.
Yeah,
so,
sure. That's what we did in there. Yeah.
So yeah, don't slow down for Spaniards. Yeah, and probably I don't think you'll see a whole lot of Spaniards in there, because it's shallow flats for a long way. Maybe more out towards Mornington Island and Swears and places like that. They'll have a lot of Spaniards, but yeah, I'm not really sure about directly off Corumba. Yeah, but if you're talking about, you could be talking about Barra too. I'm not sure. This is the time of year. We went up in June once, very early, late May, early June, and the night we arrived, the day we arrived, 2 nights before, they had their first cold snap, and you'll be surprised how cold that water gets in those Gulf rivers. It dropped down to 16 degrees. Generally the coldest that we've seen it on the east coast here is about 18 or 19. But yeah, the Barras will, if it's Barra you're talking about, mate, it's simply just the fact that they're going into switch off mode for a while, so there's nothing much you can really do about it. Just persistence and be there around tide changes, and particularly on inshore waters as well, you know, around your Saluna periods, usually that hour after the moon rise, moon set, moon above, moon below, can be a period if they're going to bite. That will be the period. So yeah, just be a little bit more persistent, mate. Try some new methods. Don't necessarily just keep trolling. If they're held up, of course, which is probably what they are doing if you are trolling, and it's what they do a lot in winter. Yeah, maybe just downsize lures, get deep divers that are smaller, get them down there in front of them rather than the bigger lures. So that's a few things you can try. Another question there, mate?
Yeah, Stephen on Facebook asks, best place to fish in the inlet to catch fish during winter? Probably Cairns.
Cairns Inlet? Mate, I'm just...
last week.
I'm just getting used to Cairns, honestly. I've been here 5 years. We had to move from Carwell because we couldn't keep our boats in the marina there because of the mud. So we moved up here 5 years ago, but we just got the boat in the marina around the corner here, and I've done a bit of offshore stuff here, but the other day was the first time I've really had a bit of a look around some of the estuaries here. So, mate, yeah, I'm a beginner when it comes to Cairns. Although the other day we found some barra schools and a heap of salmon schools. We didn't do a lot of fishing. We're only out for 3.5, 4 hours. Well, we did do one bit of fishing, and Colby lost a big barra, a nice sized barra. And we had a few of the blues actually come up. They were actually off the bite where we were fishing, because the blues were a little bit, they were close to where the barras were sitting. And we actually had some of them rise up and swim around the boat. And these blues were like this. They're monster blues. And there's no shortage of them, like thousands of fish and schools in many different places. So great to see, of course, because they're actually not a bad little eating fish. But you've got to bleed them straight away, get them straight in a nice slurry. You know, don't just let them roll around on the deck for a while and stick them in the esky half an hour later. If you treat blue salmon correctly and don't freeze them for too long, or eating them fresh is best, of course, they are actually a very good eating fish. I'll just tell you a quick story about them. Many years ago, one of my good mates, Barry Michaels, the world champion, ex-world champ boxer from many years ago, you might see him on the fight nights and that commentating. He brought a bunch of guys up. We were staying at Cardwell, and we got into the threadfin and some blues, and he was wondering what the blues eat like, because I was letting them go, and because the boys weren't taking fish home, we were just eating fish. We just kept a couple of fish each day. So I kept a nice sized blue and some threadies, and I cooked them up back at the units and cooked them up the same way, and I kept them separate, and I took the plates out and I said, righto guys, try these, tell me which one you like the best. And you know what? 60% of them like the blue over the threadfin. So yeah, treat them properly and they're actually a good eating fish. Whereas threadies, yes, they're a good eating fish too, and it doesn't matter how big they get, they still are a very good eating fish, where some species will deteriorate as they get larger. But the threadies don't. But yeah, blues, a lot of people overlook them. They will get worms in them at times, mostly in the stomach flap area, the stomach cavity and the flesh. Those little black worms won't hurt you, but that's in an area that's mostly not eaten anyway, okay? If you do find them in the flesh, if they're absolutely riddled with them and you don't like it, which doesn't happen all that often, you can just keep them for crab bait, but apparently you can eat those if you've got a couple of those worms throughout the flesh, they're not going to kill you. So, so I've been told. Okay. Got some more questions there, mate.
Stephen also asks, and someone else, Clay, will you consider more financial options for your courses in terms of payment plans, or do you do prepaid plans for your courses, which is I think the same thing?
Yes,
like financial options, which
we do, mate. We've got a number of options for payment plans: 1 month, 3 months, and 6 months, or something like that. If you want, I don't need
immediate access to, so it starts straight away.
Yes, and you get immediate access as well. I think those payment plans are on the course page. I don't know, I haven't been in the back end for a long time. I do other things in the business, but if you want, you can anyone can email us tomorrow or the next day and say they'd like a course on a payment plan, and we will offer you the rates tonight. The $200 off each course.
There's straight on the page when you click on the specific course.
Yeah, there should be on there. The payment plan should be on there.
There's always the different options there on there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Certainly do.
Yeah.
Okay. What else have we got there, mate?
I have a question. Do trout move in shallower in winter or deeper?
Trout will generally move shallower too. It's a trait of many species of fish. You'll also actually find red emperor coming up into the shallows around the moons, particularly the full moon period, those few days around that period. You'll see them up in the lagoons, up in like 8, 9, 10 metres of water. big emperor like this, you know. But it only happens usually that time of year in winter, and around the moons that you'll see them floating around up in there. That's the most common time I've seen them while diving and snorkeling as well. It'd be interested to hear if anybody else has had experience with red emperor in the shallows, and what time of year it happened for them. But mostly I have seen them in the winter and around the moons. Trout, a lot of the trout, that's why you find a lot of the green bommy trout in the winter months, because they've moved right up shallower and they're hiding in the bommies more, and they change their colour. They actually go a greenish colour, or really darkish red brown almost. So that's just, you'll catch them a lot more in winter than you'll see in summer as well. They move that colour. Summertime, a lot of them move back down the slope and out into slightly deeper water as well around the reef fringes.
Cool. Sam asked, did you give Karen the night off?
Karen's away at the moment. She's down in Brisbane. I think she's on Moreton Island tonight. Yeah. So so Stephen's filling in, helped me out tonight.
So sorry for the German accent.
Yeah, we're turning him into an Aussie. Don't worry. He gets a 10+ for that. He's doing very well.
Yeah. Good day, mate. How you doing, mate?
Don't say the other words.
How you doing?
Anyway.
What are those little grubs or worms in blue salmon and in some finger marks down in Hintonbrook region? I think we've seen them in the coral trout as well. I asked.
You will see some in coral trout and cod species, generally close to the belly flap region or the stomach region in the flesh. Like I said, they're nothing to worry about. Apparently, I've eaten some, but yeah, if it's riddles, you might find one that's absolutely riddled with them. It's up to you if you just want to turn them into crab bait or not, of course. But I don't know. Karen might know a little bit about that. She's the marine biologist, but I'm not quite sure why those worms develop. That's something I've never really looked into. But I do believe, and I've heard this from a few people in the marine science game, that they won't hurt you at all. So just cook them up. If there's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 in there, don't worry about it. If it's riddled, it's up to you what you want to do with it. Okay, mate, what do we got?
Plenty of black juice still around, question mark.
Is there plenty of black Jew still around? Yeah, well, they changed some restrictions on them a few years back now, and they are a fairly fast-growing fish, particularly in the Northern Territory. They grow to 90 centimetres in 3 years up there, and I think the growth rates are pretty similar on the east coast here, but we seem to, they're very sporadic where they show up in the northern regions up here. Like you'll generally find there'll be an area where they're really thick, and then everywhere else is patchy. Once you get down around Mackay to Rockhampton, those kind of places down there, they're really thick down there. That is a really good fishery for black Jew. Whitsundays has a few. Townsville, you'll find them in some of the deep pockets around the headlands there, mostly throughout the winter. They will do the same thing. They'll aggregate. It's just a matter of finding the schools. Cairns, I'm not really sure about. I haven't really run into them here yet because I haven't done a whole lot of inshore fishing here as yet. And up around like Bamaga and places like that, yeah, they're thick. I've never really, north of Cooktown, we've got a lot of really good headlands with deep holes and all that. I've never really run into them up there. Heaps of fingermark, which is a fish that you will catch with the black Jew. We catch tons of fingermark and nannies and things like that up there, but I've never caught a Jew in amongst them north of Cooktown. So yeah, I don't know fully why that happens, but they do seem to be in periodic stocks here and there. But what's happening, I do believe that they have made a bit of a comeback. A number of years ago, they got a bit fished out. It wasn't just the commercial industry, there was also a lot of black marketeers chasing the black Jew for the swim bladder, because they were selling the swim bladders on the black market because they're worth a fortune. They send them over to some Asian countries because apparently it gives a few men stiffies. So yeah, that's as far as I know. If you're a bloke and you can't get a stiffy, maybe your doctor might be your best bet rather than killing black chew.
Archer on YouTube said Sauna Skills 1 is awesome, worth the price.
Thanks, mate. Sound Skills 1, yep, that's the $20 course, and you'll actually learn a fair bit out of that. It's actually good to do Sound Skills 1 first, because it helps you understand a lot of the concepts a bit better when you move on to the advanced stuff. So Sound Skills 2 does have some of the stuff from Sound Skills 1 as a bit of a recap in it. But yeah, if you just want to try it first to see if you like our learning style and everything like that, Sound Skills 1's a great course, 3 cups of coffee. And sorry mate, Sound Skills 1.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sound Skills 2 is off too at the moment.
Oh yes, Sound Skills 2 is $200 off at the moment.
And for those who
Sound Skills 1 is the only course we haven't got $200 off, because it's $20. We're not giving you 180.
but for anyone who wants to go further.
Yeah, if anyone wants to go further onto Sound Skills 2, it's $200 off till midnight tonight.
And for anybody who doesn't know yet, we've got an extra for everybody who's in the live here. We've got an extra $30 off.
So for tonight only, before midnight, when you get to the shop, if you put in May 30, MAY30 into the coupon code area, that'll get you an extra $30 off as well.
For every course.
For every course.
Not just Sound Skills 2.
Yep.
Yes. Archer also asked, what's your favorite lure for estuary fishing for barra when they are slow on the bite?
I don't think it's so much a favourite lure. I think it's more about what you do with it. I mean, I use the most common lures I use in the estuaries are our scale blazer, actually, which are in our shop. Although our shop's just about to kind of reopen as the stock comes back. We had to change warehouses. So we had a big sale and a lot of the gear went. So there's only a couple of colours left in them at the moment, but we will have some more down the track. So I use the scale blazer, which is a shallow inshore lure, which has a really nice roll when we slow it down. I don't lure snags against shallow banks catching rats. Most of my lure fishing is done in waters away from those areas in the open, where we target big barramundi that come to the surface in certain water conditions. And these are a lot of areas away from snags, away from rock bars, away from deep holes. A lot of them are away from creeks and rivers as well, although some will occur in bigger estuaries or at the mouths. So that's what I mostly do. Most of my lure casting is away from many of the traditional areas where people would cast for barra. And that's in the advanced section in our Barra Basics course, which is $200 off tonight. $230 actually. Yeah. Okay, mate. Any other questions? Maybe, like I say, mate. It's maybe just slow them down, pause them, that kind of thing. Just play with your retrieves. That's my best bet. And it won't just be any particular lure that's going to be better than others. It's the situation. If they're deeper and they're not going to rise, then maybe you're better off using plastics or vibes a bit lower, not so much using shallow divers near the surface and that kind of thing. So it's a big learning curve. Understanding, it's all about chopping and changing and observations on each particular day and taking note of what happened. Or you can do our course. Next one, mate.
Yep. By the way, also a little spoiler. Tomorrow we're going to record actually topwater lures and estuaries. Oh yeah,
we're doing a blog tomorrow. We're recording it tomorrow on topwater lures and estuaries. We've done topwater lures offshore, the different type of stick baits we use offshore, but we haven't done one for the estuaries. So we'll be filming that tomorrow. So that'll be coming out in a few weeks' time or so.
Yeah. So everyone who's on Facebook or Instagram watching at the moment. We also got a YouTube channel with lots of free stuff, lots of free tips.
Lots of free blogs. It's not just these cheat sheets and workshops. We got lots of blogs on our YouTube channel, free tips and bits and pieces.
And on the website we've got free training with actual really in-depth.
Yeah, and the free training's on the website.
Free training, Where do I go next? Tips for land fishing on beach or rocks between New South Wales and Queensland border and north to Rainbow Beach. Bait type, hook, sinker size.
A bit out of my depth there, mate. Sorry. Being a North Queensland boy, I've done a little bit of fishing around the country, but certainly have not been a very experienced rock fisherman down there, although I imagine I could work it out pretty easily. But yeah, to see, our land based up here is a little bit different because we're mostly doing it for barra and salmon and things like that. Whereas down there you're looking at slightly deeper aspects, unless you have got a shallow water headland and you want to chase flatties. Of course they'll be around areas where rocks meet the sand, or weed patches around the sand, that kind of stuff. But as far as your deeper areas go, I mean, yeah, they use floats down there with live baits and that for mackerel and even marlin in places where the shelf comes in fairly close and provides a lot of deeper, bluer, clean water coming into the coast. But there'll be places there, of course, where you'll be able to catch snapper. It's just not knowing what you're casting out onto is the biggest problem with land-based for demersal fish. You know, if it drops off into 10 metres or even 20 metres off the headlands, it's just going to be that little bit harder to work out, I guess. But maybe your tackle shops can help you a little bit more with that. I mean, like I said, I can't probably answer every question because I haven't done every single style of fishing in every place around the country. So, but yeah, we are filming a land-based course this year. We're planning it out now for not just beginners, but it's going to be for anyone who goes land-based. Primarily in Northern Australia, but a lot of the concepts will work all the way down to Brisbane and all that. But where it gets to that deeper areas down off Sydney and all that, that's where it might change a little bit. But we have got a land-based course for shallower waters coming out later this year.
Yep. Sam said I have got summer skills too, and it has opened my eyes at what I was looking for. Great course.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. Yeah. It turns you into a much better fisherman because you know how your sounder's lying to you and what you've got to do to change all that. So yeah, it's $200 off tonight. And, $230 actually. And Archer. Gee, there's not much profit left in that for us, is there?
Yeah.
Fuck.
And Archer from YouTube, who asked about the S3 fishing lures, said also he was meaning to purchase the scale blazer lures, and he will grab a few soon.
Yeah, mate, we got there's two colours left. There is more on order. The pillages arrive very shortly. Our sinking stick baits, which are deadly on all kinds of demersal species. You use them like a vibe. And our jigs have just arrived as well. So we'll be releasing them shortly because we're doing the slow pitch jig blog that comes out when?
A slow pitch jig?
Yeah.
Oh, that's already out.
Oh, it's already out.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, we should be announcing that they've arrived. Sorry, I've been a little bit off track lately. I've been doing lots of other things.
The one is pillages versus vibes.
Pillages versus vibes.
That's the one who's still.
That's one's.
Posted,
yeah. So that'll come out once the pillages arrive. Yeah.
And he also said, and I will be doing a barra course and as well as the sauna skills too.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that.
Good because tonight's the last chance to get a bundle too for 2 courses.
Yes, if you bundle courses as well, just got to send us an email. And I think is that what happens?
Yeah.
You think I'd know, wouldn't you? Yeah. Just send us an email if you'd like to bundle 2 courses, and we will
for an extra $100 off.
For an extra $100 off, yeah. So it's not just the 30 off a single course. If you bundle, you get even a bit more.
Yeah. So yeah, when you want to do the barra course and sauna skills too, thinking about that tonight because it's going to end tonight.
Just drop us an email, mate, tonight, and our crew will get onto that tomorrow.
And an extra $30 off too.
Yeah.
He also asked on your last live, you were talking about the El Nino weather system. What sort of weather can we expect up north for the fishing?
What sort of weather can we expect this year with the El Nino coming in? We're still in a neutral phase at the moment. The effects of the El Nino hasn't arrived. The last number of years, possibly 7 years, I think now, we have had a lot of La Nina influence, especially around the wet season time of year. That's why we've had so many record rainfalls and lots of flooding events happening. So we're in a very wet cycle, but that will change. We will start seeing periods where the El Nino comes in a lot more often over the La Nina, which is the opposite, and the El Nino is going to bring a lot of drier conditions to many parts of the country. And what it also does, we'll still get a wet season up here on the tropics, but it generally is not like the wet seasons that you'll see if the Enzo is neutral or if it's in full-blown El Nino. La Nina. So we'll still get some kind of wet season up in the tropics here if the El Nino is in that time of year. But what it will do when it is around, which is this warm water current that comes across the equator, it affects both the northern and southern hemisphere, and it's usually around about the equator or either side of it where this occurs, but it's the fallout from it is basically, it's very in depth, but basically it's not just affecting the areas around the equator, it's what the currents do further away from the equator that creates this, it affects different atmospheric conditions with moisture and stuff like that. So we will be seeing, they reckon it's going to be a rather aggressive one this year. Of course, you'll hear the climate change crew coming out saying it's climate change. It's not. They've had very aggressive El Ninos in the past, and it's just a cyclic thing. Trouble is, if we start seeing more of them year after year rather than La Nina, then we're going to go back to periods where the dams end up almost empty. And that's a bit of a worry because, you know, I come from Townsville and I can remember many times where there's this much water left in the bottom of the dam and they had to pump it through from the Burdekin, whereas recent years it's pretty much chockers most of the year round. But these are some things that, you know, populations have increased in many areas, and are there any new dams or allowances to build new dams in this period while we've had all these wet cycles since the last dry cycle? Who knows? So what's going to play out there? Don't know. Some town's going to run out of water. I can tell you though, there will probably be some pretty severe water restrictions coming in later this year for many areas. So that's what happens. But on the plus side, when it does arrive, we should see less trade winds. It's these strong southeasterlies that blow up the coast here every year from around about mid to late April onwards till around about mid to late September. So hopefully for our offshore fishers up here, we will start seeing some easing in the trade winds and have a few more gaps and windows and not so many 30 knots. Might reach 20 to 25 instead of 25 to 30 when it does blow. So it's not going to stop the trade winds altogether. You're still going to get high pressure systems coming through and pushing your ridges up the coast, but it just minimises them a little bit and the intensity. So fingers crossed, for us fishers up here, we will get a bit of that. But like I say, on the downside is some areas in Australia are going to see, or many areas in Australia are going to see some pretty severe dry conditions. Hopefully just for a number of months, and hopefully it doesn't set in for an extended period of time. But yeah, they can be quite challenging when these events happen. Okay, mate, what do we got? This is not rum, by the way. I'm on the soda water.
What a shame. On the blue boat, does your transducer pick up 60 meters deep at 28 knots?
Yeah, it certainly does. But it depends on the weather conditions too. You know, I've seen people say, "Oh, I normally get a really good read. Sometimes I get a really good reading on my sounder, and other times I don't. What's going on?" Well, it's simply sea conditions or where you've mounted it. So that's simply what it can be down to. But yes, on the blue boat, I can, you know, pick up bottom in 80 meters, no problem at all, particularly on a calmer day. You'll still pick it up in rough weather, but you just get breaks in transmission, which makes it a little bit harder for, you know, seeing spots at speed. But you can, there is something you can do with another function that helps that a little bit, but that's in the courses.
Yeah,
That's in Inner Circle actually, which is part of Sounder Skills too.
Yeah, Brad Allen also said very good value. I would recommend anyone thinking on jumping onto a course to lock it in now and take advantage of the discounts.
Thanks mate, appreciate that. Hello, the neighbours are going off. Oh, the Bulldogs must be playing tonight, are they? Yeah.
Will said, as per Clay's comment above, do you take Soluna times pressure and tides into account for planning trips?
You can't really plan trips, particularly up here. We just go when the weather's good, depending on the size of your boat, of course. Just during the day, make sure you're kind of fishing around those times and you're not travelling is probably more important. It doesn't matter which day it is. I mean, yes, there's certain tides of the month which are stronger as far as, you know, the fish biting and stuff, and certain times of the month where they're not. We go into depth in that in Offshore Opportunities, which is another course. It's $200 off tonight. We've only just released that one a couple of months ago. That has gone gangbusters. Getting some really great feedback, even from very experienced offshore fishermen. Have learned quite a bit from it. And but as far as those bite periods offshore, around those Soluna bite periods, it doesn't really matter if you get weather changes. It generally will still occur, but also having the right amount of current, being in an area with the right amount of current is also important around those times. If you're sitting somewhere where there is buffeted from current and you're sitting there with your line going straight up and down, well, around that bite period, it may not happen, or you just might get dribs and drabs. So there's a number of things you really need to line up. But when you get inshore under that 10 metres or 15 metres of water, that's when you can have other influences, where the barometer is a little bit outside its normal movements, which can be created by, you know, troughs, convergence lines, all sorts of things can change. When it moves a few more points than it should do, that creates a lot of instability, and in particular barramundi, fish with swim bladders, it will affect them, and even during a Soluna bite period they can still shut down, and that's in those waters inshore under 15 odd metres or so. Offshore doesn't really affect them out there.
Is Sounder Skills Hummingbird compatible as you run Garmin?
Are our courses compatible for Hummingbird? Yeah. The recording is done on Garmin units because at the time Garmin were the only ones that had recording available, and basically we've got students from all brands. You just got to, when I talk about certain things, you just have to understand that there are just a few different terms that you have to chase up. Gain, sensitivity, brightness are all the same kind of thing. It might just be different on your unit to what it displays on what you'll see throughout the course here and there, but that's easily overcome. So it does apply to all sonar, mate. It's not brand specific, but we are refilming Sounder Skills 2, and we might have a little bit more news about other brands down the track.
Someone had a question about deep dropping, while we're on the topic about future courses or future releases. When are you working on the deep dropping? Deep dropping,
we've got the concept video made. Okay, I've just run out of time. There's so many things I'm working on in the background at the moment. Yeah, I should be out fishing all the time like a YouTuber, but no, I'm stuck in here. So I don't fish as much as I'd really like to, anymore. But yes, the deep dropping is all we got to do is film the demo videos now, and that one will be ready. But we've really wanted to get a start on this land-based one as well, so I'm working on that at the moment while we've got all these rough winds. I'm not going to go out to the shelf, off the shelf, and fish in giant swells. I want some reasonable conditions for, you know, to have good sounder demonstrations and that kind of thing, because fishing out in deeper water, yeah, you really need that throughout there, some reasonable conditions. But it will be coming out, mate, and yeah, it'll be a very well priced course, and I'm looking forward to doing it because it was just like wonky holes. When we made wonky holes, it took a lot of pressure off the reefs because we've got people wandering around in the open paddocks, you know, searching for wonkies and not fishing on the reef all the time. So it kind of spreads the effort out a little bit, and that's what deep dropping will do. The more people that get into it, it's going to spread that effort out a little bit more. And there's some pretty untapped country out there. It's insane, and some really great species. Now it's up to you though out there whether you're going to use a conventional rod and reel, and under 200 meters you get, you know, some guys they still use the rod and reel, but when you get out in 400 meters or so, 500, honestly the electric reel's the only way to go. You know, you don't want to be trying to wind fish up out there. Even you young fit fellas, you'll knock up pretty quick, trust me. And I know fishing with an electric reel, some people say that's not fishing, and there's no skill in that. Well, there is actually a lot of skill involved in deep dropping and getting it right, because out there, especially with lower frequencies, which is what you need, and wider beam angles, I mean, you can adjust some beam angles to slightly narrow them a little bit more. You could go to medium frequencies and run a higher powered transducer like 2 or 3 kilowatts instead of 1. There are things that you can do to keep those slightly narrower beam angles. But on the wider beam angles out there, which occur in low frequency, especially in 1 kilowatt transducers, and 2 and 3, you have a massive footprint. So in 400 meters of water, on your sounder screen, it's actually covering a football field and a half of country. So when you're registering fish on the sounder, it doesn't mean they're directly below you. So there's no point in marking that spot there. But I do have, it's actually in a circle in Sounder Skills 2. Or no, it's in the deep section in Sounder Skills 2. I've got so many courses with so many sections. I sometimes get a bit confused where everything is. But in there, in Sounder Skills 2, I do have and it will be in the deep dropping course, I do have a method that we use to find where the centre of those fish schools are out in that deep water when you have got a football field or more underneath you and the fish are showing on your sounder. Because if you set your drift line up where you think the fish are, you'll go through and get nothing, because the fish could be 80 metres over there, 60 metres over here, you know. So that's the important thing with deep dropping, is understanding this one key thing. Finding the areas, we go into all that, the different kinds of habitats and those sort of things, but finding the centre of the school is most important, because that's where you want to run your drift line. Just want to quickly mention too, guys, also for those of you who don't know that, because we're probably going to cut this off at some stage soon, but for those of you guys who don't know, we've also got an extra bonus tonight for our last night of the sale, which runs till midnight. So it's not just $200 off, we're having an extra 30 off if you enter May 30, all one word, in the coupon code area in the cart. So yeah, get on that, guys. Make the most of these discounts, that's for sure.
Yeah, we got a couple of questions, but we're running out of time.
Yeah, we try and keep these things to an hour if possible, but we've gone a bit over time, but we'll keep going, mate. That's all good.
What is the best time of the day to chase trout around Stanage, or are they affected by the big tides?
There's no such thing as the best time of day, really. It's all, it's tide driven and where you're fishing, deep, shallow, what kind of structure, where it is in relation to current. So it's not so much time of day, mate. Generally though, you will find early mornings as the sun comes up and just before the sun sets out on the reef, we find that is quite an aggressive period for them, particularly if there's a tide change happening at the same time. So that kind of thing will probably happen around the islands and that off Stanage as well. We've done a bit of fishing on the islands off Stanage there, around the Duke Islands there a couple of years ago, top water. Caught some nice big bar cheeks top water in there. That was good fun. And that was around about 10, 11 o'clock each day, but we had to wait for the tide to start moving before they came up and started hitting the lures. So it's all about movement, mate, more than anything, and the tides you're fishing. Generally, the stronger your tides coming up to the moons, where you got a little bit more movement, is the best time.
Same as the Sonderskills 2 that I have. When you do an update on Sonderskills 2, do I get the update on mine? Yes.
Yes. Yep. All the updates will just pop up in the course, and you'll get notified. I want to make them all first and introduce them in one go, because we've got different headers on each one and all that. So we're changing all the old headers and things like that. So it'll be a while yet, mate. But yeah,
and
it's
what
coming.
hooks do you recommend for the pillagers? Mine have gone rusty and need a refresh. It's on YouTube.
The hooks we've got on the pillagers are pretty good, but like everything, eventually they will rust. If you want to change over to a good hook, the BKKs offer, I think owners are pretty good, but BKK are very good as well. They don't seem to rust as quick. Especially the ones that are nickel plated. That's what you want to look for, and of course they're a lot more expensive than a lot of the lures that you just buy out off the shop. VMCs are good too, but they will eventually they do rust as well. But yeah, some of those lures that come out are really cheap and nasty and rust in no time at all, and they straighten easy too. So if you're buying a lure that does have inferior hooks, just buy the hooks as well. I don't know why all lure manufacturers just don't put the good hooks on them from the start and charge that bit extra. I mean, we could go to BKKs as well, something we might look into the future, but the ones we've got on there now are very good hooks. And if you look after it, when you come home, just get a bit of Mako oil on a rag and rub your hooks over. After you give them a wash in fresh water with a bit of detergent, let them dry, then give them a rub with Mako oil on a rag, and that makes them last a lot longer, or even fish oil as well. If you just come home, chuck them straight back in your tackle box without washing them, even out on your boat, a little bowl of fresh water, as you change your lures out, chuck them straight in there and leave them sit in there for the rest of the day before you get home. Then dry them off and give them a hit with Mako oil or fish oil.
Any tips on identifying the different species of whiting to use as live bait around Townsville area?
We just mainly different species of whiting for live bait. Well, of course, the first thing you've got to remember is check your regulations, because many whiting have a minimum legal size, and of course you can't have undersized whiting in your bait tanks, or you can't be using them. You might accidentally put one in there that might be swimming around, but don't put it on your hook and send it out, because fisheries will probably book you. Actually, they'll probably even book you if there's one in your bait tank. So if you do drop one in there accidentally, get it out of there quick smart and throw it back in the water. But generally it's just our summer whiting that we use up here, the yellowfin whiting. So you do get winter whiting as well at times in certain places, but our most common one is your summer and yellowfin whiting. They're the ones that grow well over 23 centimetres, and they're the ones that we go and catch for big barramundi and other things, bigger predators. Take them offshore too, drop them down for nannies and reds. If you've got a boat that will get into an estuary or a beach somewhere and you can catch those bigger whiting, take them offshore if you like. It's not just big barra, everything loves them.
Yeah, it gets a little bit low questions. Yeah, I think
we'll call it there. Yeah, sorry guys, all right, we'll call it there. Just remember, tonight is our last night of the sale, and put May 30 into the coupon code area and you'll get an extra $30 off on top of the discounts that we're providing. If you want a bundle, send us an email, you'll get extra off again. We're doing these ridiculous sales because we know people are doing it tough, and yeah, we all know all about food, fuel and everything else that's going through the roof. So anyway, look after yourselves, and we will see you online and at the next live, which is in July. We'll have a couple of lives in July as well, and we'll catch up with you all again there. In the meantime, hang loose. Catch you later.